What's good, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome back to the Water Boys channel. As today we are diving into more prospects, and it will be the cornerbacks. But before we do dive into any of that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel because I will keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chiefs related that you do not want to miss out on. And also like this video out because it helps us out oh so much. And without further ado, let's dive into this cornerbacks in the draft and also in this free agent market. So it's funny how this thing works. It really is, because I even mentioned in previous videos that I thought edge and wide receiver is the biggest need on this team. And I still think it is so, but I was kind of discrediting what cornerback is on this team. And not just because I feel like we're set, because we're far from it. But I also felt like KC was going to address it before draft. Now we get reports that KC is not so interested, I want to say not so interested, but they're staying still with the James Bradberry talks and also with the Stephon Gilmore signing too. That just means the asking price for Gilmore is still too high, and Bradberry, the Giants don't want to either kind of sweeten the deal, which is like, let's say KC's offering a fifth, Giants want a third, they can't meet in the middle there, and also too, it's too rich for KC's blood right now for $13 million a year, definitely for James Bradberry. They kind of want the Giants to take a little bit of that too. So KC right now is, staying still with it, which I find honestly nothing wrong with. There are some Chiefs Kingdom who hope they get one of these cornerbacks just so it takes one of the draft needs away. And I am one of them too. Like, I'd be happy if they do, and I'd be happy if they don't, and just be like, hey, let's head in the draft, let's do our thing. The reason I'd be happy if they do, like I said, it takes one of the draft needs away. You solidify cornerback, definitely if you bring in both, but vice versa with that too. If you bring in both, they're both going to command over $10 million a year. So you probably aren't only bringing in one. And the more likely would be James Bradberry, just because it would be via trade. You'd work something out with the Giants, even if it's a contract extension. You know how it works. Stephon Gilmore, it seems like he wants to be a very highly paid cornerback, which to him, like, he's deserved it. But you don't pay players for what they've done. You play for what they are going to do. And I can see where KC, older cornerback, they don't know if they want to pay that much. So it's understandable. I can see him going either way. I think, honestly, they can either trade or sign for Gilmore. Maybe the week of the draft. This thing's going to play out, and these players, these organizations are going to notice too. It's going to be like, once it goes after draft, if you thought the asking price was already low, it's going to get lower because these teams are going to fill all of their team needs. So for someone like a Stephon Gilmore, you might as well take the highest price before the draft, because if you don't, it's going to drop significantly. So that's where I stand on those two players, and I don't think KC is going to make any action with them, but it's free agency. We've all been wrong before, but let's dive into the draft. So diving into these prospects, I'm going to do the same as I did with my edge rushers, maybe add a little extra twist starting from the get-go. I'm going to give you my top 5 prospects for cornerback position. Again, this means what I think KC can value a cornerback if they can draft him around 1 or 2 specifically. So the likes of Sauce Gardner, Trent McDuffie, Derek Stingley, they're not going to be in this video because I don't think KC can make a move, even if they wanted to trade up. I think your lowest rated out of those would be Trent McDuffie, and I can see him going as early as like 12. KC would have to give up a lot of capital to get there. I don't anticipate it, especially for a cornerback, because that's something that hasn't been highly invested in Kansas City since Marcus Peters, and then they shipped him off. So I'm going to stick with what I think is in the range of them getting, and we're going to go from there and see how it works out. But first, I want to mention 3 honorable mentions, because I know Chiefs Kingdom, you be in the comments and you be giving me names to look out for, and I really appreciate it. It gives me new prospects to look at, tape, highlights, and things like that. And I definitely enjoy this time of the year and going through all of that. But 3 of them that I just didn't think quite cut my top 5, but are good prospects that I would anticipate if they are available KC to draft, would be Martin Emerson, Kobe Bryant, and I know I'm missing one, and that's going to bother me, Jalen Davis. Those are 3 guys I think would be interested for KC if they're available. Maybe mid-second round, early 3rd round. If they're there, I think KC can jump all over that. But let's jump into number 5. And at number 5, I got Roger McCreary. Now, he's an interesting prospect because if you were to talk to people a lot before the season or even during the season, he was an easily solidified round 1 cornerback. Now, he's kind of drifting out of round 1. Maybe in some teams' eyes, he's a late round one, but he looks like he's falling into round 2, which would be great value. Let's see if KC can snap him like at 50. I think that's great value there for him. And I just like his game. I think he's a solid corner. He's a big physical corner. He's a good tackler, which we know in KC's past, they've had struggles where cornerbacks don't give their 100% solid effort. He makes plays. He makes plays on the balls too. He gets a lot of pass breakups. He doesn't haul in the interceptions all the time, but ball skills are there if he could correct some of those things. And I think he would be a good addition, definitely, and a very youthful locker room for KC because it's all inexperience. You bring in some competition, and let's see how it works out. I do like Roger McCreary, though, a lot. Now, at number 4, a lot of people, this guy is like shooting up draft boards like crazy, and I understand it for his size. I couldn't really find that much tape on him, so I watched like a little bit of highlights, and that's it. But Tariq Woolen, I get it why you guys love him. 6'4", runs almost, what, a 4.26. He's blazing fast. Like, and from what I've seen, like, I didn't see much, but I saw that he knows how to track down a receiver very well. He gets really good tackles. He doesn't give up on the play. It's just the one thing about him is he's very raw, which could be really good too. The only thing is it really good if you invest so early in a raw prospect in the second round? I don't know, but the upside seems like it's exponential, definitely for him, and he's a playmaker. You could tell he's an athlete. Barely played cornerback, so that's why I said, do you want to invest in the second round? But like I said, you don't see much guys, definitely at cornerback position, since what, a Cam Chancellor, and he wasn't even really a cornerback, but was safety, a 6'4" out there playing like that. Now he's not as big as Cam Chancellor, and what I mean is weight-wise, I think he's still floating around like 200 pounds. But to have something like that is intimidating. He's got great speed. He's physical. And any team can mold him the way they want. Maybe bring in a Spags defense, and Spags can work some magic with him. Next guy I got up at number 3, kind of on the smaller side, but not too small. He's 5'11", Kyler Gordon. He's an interesting prospect. Honestly, when I watch him too, it's funny. Like, he looks smaller than 5'11", but he plays bigger than 5'11". He's a very physical tackler. The one thing I like about him is he's got really good ball skills. The thing, and it's funny because they went to the same school, I want to say he's more of, I don't want to say underrated or overrated, but not even in that aspect. But he's basically the poor man's Marcus Peters is what I'm going to go to. And they both went to Washington. He knows how to read a route very well, and it either is a big time play, pick six the other way, or it's house call the other way. And could be good or bad. Like, pick your poison, basically. And we had that a lot on Marcus Peters too. And it's exciting to see because when he jumps around and it's picked off, it's an exciting play. But then when it doesn't work out for him, it's like, ooh, you might need to correct that. But that's some things you can't, like, uninstill in a player. That's something that's in them. But I do like the prospect he is. He's a very solid corner, very physical. Like I said, to me, he looks like a smaller corner out there, but he's 5'11", almost 6 foot, so it depends on what you think is small nowadays. But for someone like him to be that physical and then to have good ball skills and know how to read routes, it's something I'd like to see KC put in their DB room as well. At number 2 diving in is Kair Elam. This would be someone I would actually invest in the first round. Definitely if you got 2 of them. Like I said, it's tricky on what Kansas City can do because they got 2 of them. Me, honestly, if I was KC, I'd anticipate, let's say, the 29th, you could trade back into the 40s and hope like a Kair Elam will be there, and that'd be great value there. I'm not all for trading up, but if we're staying still, I would take Kair Elam at the 30th pick too. He's a good sized cornerback too. He's 6'2", got great length. Someone for his size, he's very agile, he's very elusive, he knows how to make plays. It's very rare that a receiver will lose him. He knows how to stick with his receivers very well. And he's a very good tackler, but that's something you expect because he's 6'2", like I mentioned, and also got a good body frame where he's a very solid, I almost said receiver, solid cornerback. And I think it's someone who really fits Spags' defense. I don't want to say he reminds me a lot of Charvarius Ward, but just the stature and his size and his frame, he looks like a Charvarius Ward. A L'Jarius Sneed is something that you think would fit very well. And watching him more and more, I kind of like him more than my number 1 I'm going to bring up, and it will probably grow on me more once we get closer to draft day. But he's very good instincts. He gets a lot of pass breakups, and I just love that he fights with the receivers. It's like it's hard for a receiver to get away from him, and then if a receiver catches the ball, he's bringing him to the ground. And at my number 1, I got Andrew Booth Jr. Now, Andrew Booth Jr. is an interesting prospect. I think he comes in a little shorter than Kair Elam, around 6 foot, but they both, to me, are similar but not similar. The thing that's good about Andrew Booth Jr. is he knows how to read a receiver's release like crazy off the line, and that's beneficial for him, and it's hard for a receiver to get lost with him. And he plays physical too. It helps a lot with the size. If there's one downside with him, I know when he does not, I don't want to say when he doesn't not know how to read a release, but when a receiver is faster than him and they get a break on him, he struggles keeping up with them. But he can win on the line too, so that's very good. He does know how to get a lot of PBUs, which is very positive too. And like any other tackler I mentioned in this, which I think is why it's kind of a trend here, very good tackler. Know how to bring the receiver down, know how to sneak out the run game too. I do like Andrew Booth a lot, but like I said, I'm almost convincing myself with Kair Elam in this conversation. But we are going to be wrapping this video up, so you guys let me know down below, who do you like more, Kair Elam or Andrew Booth? Or would you invest in a cornerback in the 2nd or 3rd round or even further on? You know, I almost said Andy Reid. Well, him too, Brett Veach. They know how to find these gems. They find it with Javarius Ward. He was traded from Dallas, undrafted free agent. L'Jarius Sneed, 5th round pick. I might be talking about these early guys, but name these later guys for me to check out. I will check them out, and I might talk about them in a video later on. But with that, I will be checking out. But you be sure to subscribe to the channel because I will keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related. Friday, I got my own mock draft coming in too. It'll be in, I'll do 3 rounds, but it won't be the simulated type. It'll be just my aspect on where I think they can go. And with that, you guys, please do like this video, and I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.